Hi students, a very good morning to all. Welcome back to the computer science online classes. So in this session I am going to continue the model question paper 2 discussion. So you all know in the last classes I have discussed 5 marks questions. So first five questions I have discussed. So in this part 2 session I am going to discuss the next 5 questions. Okay. So let us begin today's class. So the question goes like this. Explain the data types in C++. So this is the question. You have to read the questions in the paper carefully. So what is the question? Explain the data types in C++. Okay. So first you have to first you have to define what do you mean by data type. So data type or the type of the data which is present in the program, so which must be declared in the program by using some variables, by using some terms. So that term is called as data type. So all the variables in the program will be defined by using the term called as data types. Okay, so the data types can be defined as a set of values which can be stored in a variable along with the operation that can be performed on those variables. So data types can be defined as the set of values, so which can be stored in the sense which can hold the variables along with the operations that can be performed on those values. So the main aim of the C++ program is to manipulate the data. So manipulate the data in the sense what? We should change the data. We can change the data in the C++ program. So C++ program defines several data types and each type of data has unique characteristics. Is it right? All the C++ program will not be of same data type. So some C++ program will be of different data types and some other C++ program will be of another different types of data types. So all that C++ program will have separate unique characteristics. Okay, so let us see how these data types are classified. So see here, you can see the fundamental data type is there. So this is the first one. So it is also called as built-in data type. So or else built-in data type. Okay, so fundamental data type is also called as built-in data type. So second one is derived data type. Third one is user defined data type. So these are the three types of data types which are present in the C++ programs. Okay, so this is how the first three types of data types are mainly classified. Okay, so let us see for the next slide what it is there. The simple or fundamental data types or the primary data types. So simple data type or fundamental data type is called as what? Primary data types which are not composed of any other data type. Means what? There will be not any other data type in the sense it is not been mixed with the any other data types. Only simple data types will be present. So such types of data types are called as simple or fundamental data types. So the simple or fundamental data types will include what type of data types means. So it will include integer data type, character data type, float data type, double data type and void. So these are the simple or basic or fundamental data types which are present in C++ program. So int is the one data type, character is the one data type, float is the one data type, double is one data type and void is another data type. Okay, so next we'll see how these data types are classified in this chart. Okay, so first one is primary. So primary in the sense what? Basic data type. Okay, so second one is what? The C++ derived data type. So that is arrays, functions, pointers. So next is what? So second one is called as derived data type. Third one is called as what? User defined data type. So user defines for their purpose. So such data types belongs to user defined data type. So it will include structures, unions, enumerations. So all these data types belongs to user defined data type. So in this chart you are getting to know about the three types of the basic classification of data types. Okay. So next we'll see explanation on each of these data types. So that is int, character, float, double, boolean, void. So for these primary data type, so for the basic data types, there is an explanation you have to write for each of these data types. Okay. So first one is integer data type. So integer data type uses the type called as int. So that int type is used to store integers. So integers are whole numbers without any fractional parts. So in the sense, always integer numbers, integer data type will hold the variables value, so which will have only, so numerical part will be there. So there will be no decimal part. So only whole number will be present in the integer data type. So that this includes numbers such as 1, 45 or any numbers. So minus also it can include. So these includes the numbers called as such as any numbers. So between 0 to 9 any combination of numbers, but there will be no fractional part. So only the numerical part will be present. Whole number will be present. So in this integer data type. So it is not having any fractional part. So fractional part is not there in this integer data type. So next point is here. So the integers, as I told, it can be positive or else it can be even negative values. So it can hold any numbers like positive numbers or negative numbers. So there must be a range, right, from where to where the integer numbers can be stored. So from minus 32,786 to plus 32,767. So from this range it can store all the numbers. So that is, it is having under which data type? So it belongs to integer data type. Okay. So next one is, so how much memory space this integer data type is allocated? See, the integer data type allocates 2 bytes. So 2 bytes means how much? 16 bits of memory space. So 1 byte is equals to 8 bits, right? So here 2 bytes of memory space is allocated for integer data type. The possible operations includes like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and modulus operator. So all these operations can be performed on integer data type. So then how these integer data types are declared? So using the integer data types declaration. So int variable name. So int is what here? Data type. Variable name is what? Any variable name we have to give. Okay. So here, see what is the example. See here, int a comma b is equals to 5. So here what are the variables a and b? So what is the data type here? Int. Okay. So this is about integer data type. So integer data type can be positive or negative, and how much it is allocating the space? 2 bytes, and so it can only stores whole numbers and it will not store any fractional numbers. So here the range you have to remember here So minus 32,786 to plus 32,767. So this is the range you have to remember, and it can be ranging from range from 0 to 9, any combination of numbers. It can be even positive or it can be even negative. So first one we saw integer data type. So next one we'll see character data type. So character data type, here always you should represent using the short form called as char, char. So here all the characters in the C++ program, whatever we are going to use, will be used using only single quotation. So this is the quotation you have to use within one single letter. So then it is called as character data type. So here it can be included as a constants also. So all the constants whatever we declare, it will be converted later into ASCII characters. Okay. So here the character is allocated of only 1 byte. So 1 byte of data is allocated for character. So next, a character is represented in the program by using, as I told, it will be using by using char, char, char. So how it is declared in the sense, char space variable list. So that is, char is the data type here, and variable name is what? Any variable name which you have to give. Okay. So next one we'll see float. So float is a what? This is a real number, means what here? It will have both the whole number and also it will have the numerical part also, decimal part also. So both it will have numerical number and it will have the decimal number also. So the float data type is used to store real numbers. So real numbers means what? Any fractional numbers. Okay. So it can have any numbers with a decimal point like 9.9, 9.8, 1.9, like that. Any numbers it can have. So here also it can have both positive and negative numbers. And what is its range? Minus 34e minus 38 to plus 34e plus 38. So this is the range it has to hold. Okay. So next one is how much space it will allocate. So the space for the float data type is 4 bytes. So 4 bytes of data is allocated for this floating data type. So how it is declared? General format of this float data type is float space variable name. So this is the general format of this float. So next we'll see double data type. So double data type and float data type are very similar. So means what? It is both are same, but float data type allows single precision. So float data type allows single precision, whereas this double data type will allows double floating point numbers. Okay. So the size is typically 8 bytes of memory space. So here it can range from minus 1.7 E308 to plus 1.7 E308. So this is the range. So it can be holding this floating point numbers. So what is its general format then? So the general format for this floating point numbers is double variable list. So this is the general format here. So double is what? The variable data type. So double is data type. So variable list is what? Any variables which we have to declare for this double as a data type. So here example we will see double space a is equals to some value which we are initializing. Okay. So double is what here? Data type, and a is what here? Variable. Okay. So this is the meaning of the double data type. So next, void data type. So void data type has no values and no operations. So that means what? It contains empty set of values. So always all the main functions usually will have this void. So void means what? It will not return anything to the program. Okay, so this you have to declare in all the programs of C++. Okay, so these are the key points you have to write in your answer. So explain the data types. So data types, integer data type is there, floating data type, character data type, double data type is there. So for all these data types you have to write what is its meaning and syntax and example, along with that how it is represented, like whether it is a range, positive or negative, and then its precision. So all these points should cover in this answer. Okay, so next question we'll see, briefly explain the relational operators in C++. Okay students, so let us see the next question. So that is, briefly explain the relational operators in C++. So here relational operators are what? So are used to compare the operands in any given expression. So this is a operator, so which will be used for comparing the two operands in any given expression. They define the relationship that exists between the two constants. Okay, so it will define the relationship between the two constants. So that is whether it is greater than, lesser than or equals to, greater than or equals to. So that is expressed by using this relational operator. So for example, we may compare the age of two persons, the prices of two items, or the marks of two students. So everything here in relational operators is related to comparing the two things. Okay, so the final result how it is obtained is here by using either true or false. So only that is two results will be obtained by using this relational operators is true or false. Okay, so these are the relational operators which are present in the C++ program. So that is equal to, not equal to, greater than, lesser than, greater than or equals to, or lesser than or equals to. So equal to means what? So all this left hand side variable should be equals to right hand side variable. So if so, then it will return a true, or else what it will do? It will return a false. Okay, so not equals to means what? So if left hand side variable is not equals to right hand side variable, so then it will return true, or else it will return false. So greater than means what? So left hand side variable should be greater than the right hand side variable. So then it will return true, or else it will return false. So less than means what? So less than means what? Left hand side variable should be less than the right hand side variable. If such, so then it will return a true, or else it will return a false. So greater than or equals to means what? So greater than or equals to means, so it is left hand side variable should be greater than, or it may be even equals to the right hand side variable. So here always the results will be true or false. So if this condition is satisfying, then it will result true. If the condition is not satisfying, so then it will return false. So T means true, F means false. So T means true, that is 1, false means 0. Okay. So this is the thing you have to represent for relational operators. So this is a very important question. So which is repeated in all the question papers. You have to focus on this question. Okay. So next question is, explain the working of switch statement along with the example. So switch statement means here it is a multiple branch statement. So that is multi-way branching statement. So here two or more statements can be executed out of set of two or more alternatives. So more than one alternatives if you are having. So among that you have to select any two statements, or more than that statements you have to select, means we have to use this switch statement. So this is just similar to this if else if construct. So this is also called as multiple branching statement, so or multi-way branching statement also. Okay, so next we see the syntax of this switch statement. So switch expression. So here, so case label 1, statement 1 has to be executed. So if it is executed, then you have to apply the break. So similarly for case label 2, semicolon, no, you should not put, you should put colon. So if you are giving like this, so it is called a semicolon. We should not give that symbol. So we should give colon in between this case label 1. Okay, so after that you have to write the statement 1 followed by the semicolon. So next you have to write the break. So similarly you have to follow the next case label 2. Statement 2 you have to write until the last statement n. Okay, lastly you have to write the default statement. So default statement means what? If it is not matching with any one of the statements, so then default statement will be executed. Okay. So this is a syntax you have to write for the switch statement. So next one is you have to write the flowchart for the switch statement. So you have to always start the flowchart, and here you have to write the switch number. So if it is case number 1, if it is matching, you have to execute the statement 1. So if it is executed, then you have to break and you have to exit. So next case number 2 is there. So then if it is true, then you have to execute the statement 2. Okay. So then you have to apply the break statement. So next if it is matching with case number 3, then you have to execute the statement 3. Then you have to execute the break statement, and then you have to exit from the switch case number. Okay, so this is about the switch statement you have to write. So this is also one of the important question. So next is arrays. So related to chapter called as arrays, you are having one question. So here you have to define two-dimensional array, and you have to explain that two-dimensional array with an example. So two-dimensional array, so it, as the name itself indicating that there is having two subscripts. So whatever the array elements, if it is having two subscript, so then such arrays are called as two-dimensional arrays. Okay, so here the subscript represent the position of the element in which the array is exist. Okay, so the elements of two-dimensional arrays are represented as rows and columns. So always this rows is represented as m and columns is represented as n. So two-dimensional arrays, it is always represented using rows and columns. Okay, rows and columns. So we should know its row number and column number to select any one of the arrays. Okay, so next here, row number and column number, how it is there, how it is accessed, you have to see in this block diagram. So here this is the row, this is the column. So this I have explained even in the 3 marks question. So this is an important question. See here, row number is there, column number is there. So here we are having 2 rows and 3 columns. Okay, so next we'll see the syntax of this two-dimensional array. So here you can see the data type, array name, row size and column size followed by semicolon. Okay, so this much you have to explain for two-dimensional arrays with example. So one-dimensional array, if they have asked means you have to write only one subscript. So there is no row and no column, nothing will come, only one subscript will be there. Using that subscript, the array elements will be accessed. Okay, so next question we'll see. So this is a program you have to find. So you have to write a program. So to find the position of an element in an one-dimensional array. So there is a array in the element. So for array is there. So one element you have to identify. So you have to find its position, not the element. You have to find position, array's element, will be always starting from 0, 1, 2, 3. So where exactly the array is present, you're using linear search, you have to find. So here always, as usual, the program will start with the preprocessor directives iostream.h, conio.h, ioman ip.h. So after that main will be there, main function. So after opening the curly braces, so here you have to declare all the variables which are present in the program. So int a of 50, comma I, comma position, comma element, comma n. So these are the array elements which are present. So here the array number of elements you have to specify, that is how many elements are there. So next you have to enter all those array elements using for loop one between that. So you have to enter that. So next you have to enter the search element. So which element you have to search. So next, by using the for loop, you are comparing for the each and every element in the array. Okay, so for I is equals to 0 to I is equals to n, we have to check for each of the element. So then you have to compare with the position. So element is equals to a of I. So next position is equals to I. So next you have to give position is equals to I, break, then you have to give the, if position is greater than or equals to 0, then you have to give the array element has to be displayed, or else the array elements is not there. So such element is not there if it is not there. Okay, so here I'll explain one more time. See, so first you have to declare all the array elements, variables you have to declare. So first you have to enter n. So n means what? How many elements are present in the array. So next you have to element what are the actual elements are present in the array. So that is written by using these three lines. So after that you have to enter the search element. So search element is entered by using the element, so ELE. So after that, by using for loop, you are checking with all the elements in the array and you are assigning that position to I, and then if the position is greater than 0, you are just displaying the array element's position. If it is not greater than 0, then the array element is only not there. Search element is only not there. Okay, so this is the program you have to write. So next we'll see the problems. So problem for conversions, data representations chapter. So here binary number is there, so that is base 2 number is there, so that you have to convert for the base 16, so that is hexadecimal number. So for that you have, what you have to do is you have to write the chart for the base 16 numbers. So that is 4-bit pair numbers chart is there, right? So that chart you have to write. So after that what you have to do, pairing 4 numbers. So after pairing 4 numbers, for A, what is its equivalent number? 1010. For 01111, what is its equivalent number? 7. So for 1100, what is its equivalent number? C. So C7 dot A. So this is the answer for the conversion of 0. This is the conversion for 110011 dot 1010's conversion to hexadecimal number. So next we'll see. So phase 16 base is there, so that you have to convert for the base 8. Okay, so for that what you have to do, you have to convert. Write the 4-bit number for F, 4-bit number for A, 4-bit number for C, 4-bit number for E. So after writing all these things, you have to pair 3 numbers. So 3 numbers if you pairing, then it will be giving 001 is written as 1, 1111 is written as 7, 1010 is 101 is written as 5, 011 is written as 3, 001 is written as 1, 110 is written as 6. So this is the converted number for phase. So next we'll see the conversion for decimal number to binary number. So 511 is a decimal number, so this you have to convert for binary number. So for that, what you have to do, you have to keep on divide the 511 number by 2. So after getting the number, last number, so least number, so that is 1, so you have to write from bottom to top. So that answer will be 4 ones followed by 3 zeros followed by 1 0. So this is the conversion it will be getting for this number. Okay, so I hope you people are reading and watching every videos properly. So do practice all the questions without fail, and you have to submit the assignment book, and you have to write this exam properly without any copying, or you have to promptly write the exam. Okay, so thank you all.